Hi, I'm Renita Boyle, and I am about to enjoy Walter's Wonky Web for the first time ever. I hope you enjoy it too. Walter is ready to spin his very first web. He picks a good place to stick his silvery threads. First, he goes around and around, and then he scoots in and out, making sure to connect every other thread to the next. Lastly, he checks that the sticky bits are actually sticking. That is very important. Once he finishes, he steps back and has a look. "Wait a minute," cries Walter. "This is not right. My web is all wonky." Walter is very upset with the strange-looking thing. What is he going to do? "I know," he says out loud, "even although no one else is there. I'll go and ask Ladybird. She'll know what to do." Off he scuttles until he finds Ladybird, who is having a snooze. "Ladybird," Walter shouts, "can you help me, please?" Ladybird nearly falls off her daisy. "What's wrong?" she asks. "I've spun my first web and it's turned out all wonky," explains Walter. "What can I do?" "I would sit in the sunshine for a while, make sure your spinnerets are squeaky clean, and have an early night tonight. After a good long sleep, your next web won't be all wonky. You'll see." Walter scurries back home and does exactly what Ladybird suggests. He finds the perfect place to sit in the sunshine and washes his spinnerets until they are squeaky. Then he goes to bed very early and has a good long sleep. Walter wakes up at lunchtime, picks a good place to stick his silvery threads, and begins to spin a new web. First, he goes round and around and around. Then he scampers in and out, making sure to connect every other thread to the next. Lastly, he checks all the sticky bits. Once he finishes, he steps back and has a look. "Wait another minute," splutters Walter. "This is not right. My web is not wonky anymore. It's spotty." He cries, "Ladybird, spotty!" Now he wishes he hadn't taken Ladybird's advice. What's he going to do? Walter skedaddles deep into the woods and finds the giant oak tree where Honeybee is teaching at the Buzzy's School of Dance. Walter watches as Honeybee takes 2 quick steps to the left, then 2 quick steps to the right, followed by a sort of dizzy circle, whilst hundreds of baby bees try to do just the same. Walter decides that bees are a little bit strange. Out of breath from scooting around, Walter puffs, "Excuse me, Honeybee, can you help me, please?" "Oh, Walter, you've made me lose my place," Honeybee sighs. "We'll have to start again in a moment," he tells the Buzzies. "I'm so sorry, but I don't know what to do," Walter sadly explains. "My first web is all wonky. My second is all spotty. I tried to do it properly, the way Mom and Dad taught me, but it's just not right." Walter starts to cry a little bit, and although it is just a little bit, he has 8 eyes, so it's a lot of crying. Walter scoots back home and carefully follows Honeybee's advice. He feels a little bit wobbly. After all the steps to the left and to the right and finishing up in a dizzying circle, a drop of honey before bed makes him feel much better. Honeybee kindly offers his advice to Walter. First, take 2 quick steps to the left, then 2 quick steps to the right, followed by a sort of dizzy circle. Then have a drop of honey before you go to sleep and your next web won't be spotty. You'll see. In the morning, he sleepily begins to spin a new web. He is getting faster at sticking his silvery threads around and around, checking the sticky bits are stuck to every other thread. When he finishes, he steps back and has a look. Wait a gigantic minute! That is not right. My web is not wonky. My web is not spotty. My web is stripy. Honeybee stripy. Ooh. Now he wishes he hadn't taken Ladybird or Honeybee's advice. He doesn't know what to do, so he has a tiny huff. A good little huff helps him feel much better. I'll go ask Heidi for help. She'll know what to do. Walter scurries to where his imaginary friend lives. Heidi, can you help me, please? Walter asks. I've been trying to spin webs, just like I've been shown, but they are all wonky, he sulks. I took advice from Ladybird and Honeybee, and they still ended up all wonky. What should I do? Walter listens as Heidi gives Walter her advice. It is a lot of advice, and it takes ages to listen. He hopes he'll remember it all when he gets back home. Walter follows Heidi's advice and gets to work spinning his new web, this time using invisible thread. He picks a good spot and starts to connect every other thread to the next and make sure the sticky bits are tidy. Heidi says this is important. When he finishes, he steps back and has a look. Wait a humongous minute! This is not right. My web is not wonky. My web is not spotty. My web is not stripy. My web isn't even there. Oh! Walter scampers up the drain pipe of Mr. and Mrs. Longmuir's cottage. He's pleased to see a little gap in the window, just Walter-sized enough for him to get inside. He settles on the windowsill, sighs, huffs and puffs, and stares sadly outside at his wonky web collection. Not even one web looks the way it should. Oh. Hello, Walter, Mrs. Longmuir startles him. I haven't seen you here since you were a spiderling. Look at you now, all grown up. Walter is happy that Mrs. Longmuir remembers him. I was about to shut the window, but I'll leave it open for you and get on with my knitting. Walter doesn't know what knitting is, so he stops sighing and decides to see if he can find out. Mrs. Longmuir takes out 2 silver sticks, 1 enormous ball of thick webby string. She clicks and clacks and pushes the string around and through. She makes sure that every stitch is connected to the next. Before long, she makes the most amazing material Walter has ever seen. He uses the pine needles. Walter has an idea. He goes back outside and grabs 2 pine needles from the garden. He finds the perfect spot and tries to spin a new web. He uses the pine needles and his silvery threads in and out and around and through, clicking and clacking, softly copying Mrs. Longmuir's knitting. When he finishes, he steps back and has a look. He is not the only one having a look, though. Oh, Walter, his mum proudly smiles. I've never seen webs like these before. I know, Walter sobs. They're all wonky and they don't look like they should. Walter, your designs are not wonky, his dad praises him. These are the most original and wonderful webs we have ever seen. We all think you are the most talented web designer in the world. Please don't ever call them wonky again, his mom kindly says. Walter beams a big spidery smile. Now he is a very proud spider indeed, so much so that he decides to call his home the wonderful world of Walter's webs.